from My News 26 and CCTV. It's high school football, coming to you this season from schools throughout the region. This 26 Sports and CCTV high school football presentation is brought to you by Wolverine Power Cooperative and Great Lakes Energy. Your local electric cooperative is looking out for you. And by Munson Healthcare Cadillac Rehab Services.
Welcome to Veterans Memorial Stadium in Cadillac, Michigan, as you are joining us for the game of the week here
This
on
26 Sports and
CCTV here on CCTV and 26 Sports. I'm Derek Tate alongside Bill Dooley. We got ourselves a fantastic matchup tonight. Two undefeated teams, week 2 of Michigan high school sports, as we have the John Glenn Bobcats coming into town to take on the Cadillac Vikings. So, Bill, we have two undefeated teams. Both of these squads in 2018 only finished with 1 win and 8 losses. So one of these two teams is going to double their win total from last season.
That is correct, Derek, and we're going to get the starting lineups here for Cadillac just real quick as we're going. Number 11, that's
David Johns.
And number 77 is Ryan Warner.
Number 64, Blake Swiger, one of the sophomores that Coach Mallory speaks so highly of. Here's number 80. We got Jay Goulash, one of those versatile defensive players here for Coach Mallory. Number 20, this young man had a great game in the opener. Noah Cochran playing that fullback position in the triple option. Then we're looking at number 48. That's Tip Baker, who is he was accounting for all 3 total touchdowns on the offensive side. He's dealing with a dislocated shoulder, but it looks like he's going to suit up tonight. Number 13, Luke Enyart, had a great game on the defensive side of the football. Number 6, Logan Wild, handles a lot of the punt return duties. Number 9, Julian Lamont, we'll also see him sprinkled in there at the running back position. Number 42, he caught a touchdown pass last week. Alex Barshevsky, he also plays on the defensive side of the football at the linebacker spot. Number 22, a defensive back and running back, Dan Gray. And here come the Cadillac Vikings, and they got to be juiced up starting the year with a victory, 28-18 over the Lake Fenton Blue Devils last week.
Yeah, Cadillac played a great all-around game, offensive, defensive line. Second half, Lake Fenton kind of got their passing game going, but that's actually good for Cadillac to get a look at an aerial attack this early in the season, non-conference game. Now they know what that's about, so I thought that was good.
It was a great start. As we're going to go ahead and throw it over to the public address announcer for the national anthem.
Gentlemen, please remove your hats. Active and retired military, we encourage you to render the appropriate salute. And everyone able, please stand at attention, placing your hand over your heart. As the Cadillac alumni and professional artists, Mia Sky and her daughter Cassandra Sky sing tonight's national anthem.
So proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleam, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight
the national anthem here at Veterans Memorial Stadium. Two undefeated squads about to get underway here on the 26 Sports and CCTV Game of the Week. Again, I'm Derek Tate alongside Bill Dooley, and we talked a little bit about the Cadillac Vikings and Tip Baker, his dislocated shoulder. That's going to likely bring number 7 under center, Aiden Gurdon. But on the flip side, we only saw 1 quarter of action, did the John Glenn Bobcats, but they put up 21 points, led by their senior quarterback, Joe Blong.
Yeah, Joe Blong, Caleb Christie, their running back, and they put some points up early. They played 2 minutes of the second quarter, lightning, and then the ADs decided to cancel the game. I don't know if John Glenn wanted to have it canceled. They were ready to play, but nevertheless, it was one of the shortest games you're ever going to see.
Yeah, they went 1-8 last year, as we already mentioned, but they're off to a great start, sitting atop their league in the Saginaw Valley. So we did, and you mentioned earlier, Caleb Christie, he scored a rushing touchdown last week, and Rory O'Hare, both Joe Blong and Rory O'Hare both missed some time with injuries in the middle of last season. So we saw what this offense can do a little bit here early in this 2019 season.
Yeah, they were decimated by injuries last year. They're also implementing, starting last year, the spread offense too. They've been a power running game for many, many years, and so this is a new offensive scheme. Here we go.
As Colin Hess kicks off for the Cadillac Vikings, and that one is gathered in at the 11-yard line by Ethan Miles, and he's cut down at the 27-yard line. That is where Joe Blong will begin for the John Glenn Bobcats. They'll have a 1st and 10 here, and like you mentioned, they had a fantastic opening quarter. It was a short game, but they got in the win column to start the year.
And just like last week, we've got wet conditions, field conditions. You already saw the ball kind of slip out of their hand, and this is even more so than last week, where we've got a driving mist as of a couple minutes ago, so the grass is wet.
And something you want to keep an eye on, if you run your offense primarily out of the shotgun, that means a little bit added extra ball care is needed with that center quarterback exchange. And Long's working out of the shotgun here on 1st and 10. His handoff goes right into the teeth of the Vikings defense. He's stacked up for a short gain. Number 15, Caleb Christie on the carry, so trying to get Christie involved here early on.
Yeah, and Blake Swiger was part of that defensive group there that made the tackle.
This unit up front for the Cadillac Vikings put a 0 on the Lake Fenton Blue Devils in the first half. They let up a lot of points in the second half, but we saw some impressive things up front for this unit for the Vikings.
Oh, yeah. This is, if they have their number 1 unit in there for the full game, they were able to get some different personnel in there. A little bit of a gain on that play.
Yeah, Christie barreling into the left side of the defensive line for the Vikings. He's going to be just shy of the 35-yard line, gain of 3. That's going to bring up 3rd and 5. And it's going to be interesting to see what head coach Jeremy Werner dials up here to try to get this conversion and move the chains.
Yeah, you would expect that there's going to be a passing aspect into the game, so we'll just wait to see. 3rd down, this looks like a good spot for it. They've got 2 receivers to the right and to the left.
Looks like they're in man-to-man coverage. Here's 3rd and 5. Long's pass, that one in out of the hands of his intended target. And that is number 26 was the intended target, Bryce Frendenberg. Number 9 in the area, that's Julian Lamond right on top of him to force the incompletion. That brings up 4th down.
All right, the Vikings will get back into punt return formation with Carter Harsh and Logan Wild. And Carter had a great game last week. He had some scintillating plays and showed off that speed of his.
He even had a couple option pitches that got called back due to untimely penalties. As we have number 3 back to punt, that's Joe Blong, the quarterback, handling the punting duties as well. Solid snap, a little bit of pressure, but that punt is into Vikings territory, and Carter Harsh challenging on it. That one in and out of his hands. The ball is loose, and there is going to be a pile there at the 43-yard line. They're going to try to determine who is at the bottom of the pile with the football, and it looks like the John Glenn Bobcats catch a break. Carter Harsh probably should have let that one fall to the ground.
Yeah, especially in a crowd like that. So it was number 73 for Bay City, that is Carter France, the 5'10", 210-pound senior with a big turnover to start this game.
Yeah, Carter France was likely protecting the punter, and then all of a sudden that careened off Carter Harsh and took about a 10-yard bounce back into Bobcats territory. And you know what? You got to keep your head on a swivel out there. Carter France does that and gives the Bobcats offense great field position.
Yeah, and as far as the decision-making goes, we're both up here saying, because that was in the crowd. That one should have been let, go, because they would have had good field position, Derek. The bounce may have, benefited the Bobcats, but
here's Long's pass. It's complete to Christie and into Vikings territory, and finally knocked out of bounds by Julian Lamond. But that's a big gain there for this John Glenn Bobcats team, and they're rolling now. They get their first down of the game.
Quick lineup here for the Bobcats.
Here's Job Long, 1st and 10 at the 32-yard line. They're playing with some pace, and there's the give to Christie, and he's stacked up by a host of Vikings defenders along that right side. Gain of about 1 on the stop.
Enyart was one of them in on it. He was the initial hit.
Enyart setting the edge there to prevent Christie from breaking into the secondary on consecutive plays. 2nd and 9, we're still scoreless at the 10-minute mark here, and already you can see the conditions coming into play. Carter Harsh unable to haul in an end-over-end punt, and that sets up the Bobcats with 2nd and 9. Long RPO, that one just a little high. His intended target, Bryce Frendenberg. That's the second time in this game they have been unable to connect. That's going to bring up 3rd and 9.
Lamond on the coverage there, and good job. But that ball was tipped up high. Those are potential interceptions.
We see Job Long a little inconsistent with his accuracy. He missed the first one low. Second one sails on him. And here we are, another 3rd and long opportunity here for the Bobcats. Long in a 4 wide receiver set. Now it's an empty set with Christie in motion. Long setting up the wide receiver screen. He's got Rory O'Hare, and O'Hare cut down. Tip Baker. Boy, you gotta love seeing the senior linebacker and quarterback normally for the Vikings not letting that dislocated shoulder prevent him from sticking his head in there, and that's a great tackle bringing up 4th and 6.
Yeah, there was some definite green in front of him for a potential first down, but I love the design of that play, with the wide receiver screen coming into that was a great call.
Little backside action on the slip screen, bringing up 4th and 6, and the offense is staying out there for the Bobcats. Long working out of the shotgun. Surveying. Now flushed out of the pocket, rolling right. There's a flag. Looks like it's going to be holding. Long still staying alive and finally shoved out of bounds. Tip Baker registers the sack, and it looks like it's going to be holding. That's going to be a turnover on downs.
That's exactly right, yeah. Enyart had the pressure going, and you could see it from up here. He had to grab onto him or he was going to get the quarterback sacked. But anyway, the Vikings will, I would imagine, decline the penalty and take over on downs.
It's entirely possible that Coach Werner is holding on the Bobcats, and then, of course, Coach Mallory will decline that as it's going to be a turnover on downs. Maybe it's something where Coach Werner saw what Lake Fenton was able to do last week in the second half with, I believe it was Reed Shoemaker throwing 2 touchdown passes, trying to open them up here, but so far this pass defense fantastic for the Vikings.
Good job by the Vikings defense after the turnover by the special teams. I mean, they did their job, and I think would they have 1 first down on that one, Derek, on the long play by Christie.
And here's number 9, and that's Julian Lamond under center. He gets the start, and he gives it to Noah Cochran around the left side. He's cut down after a gain of 1, so we expected to possibly see Aiden Gurdon. Now we get Julian Lamond under center.
Yep, they were both practicing this week, and so it was going to be kind of a game-time call. So, and Julian, he's run the offense before last year when Tip went down, and he did a great job. So expect good things from him.
Here's 2nd and 9 for the Vikings. Here's the give to Noah Cochran, fighting for yardage past the 40-yard line. That's going to be a tough 6 yards. It'll bring up 3rd and 4 for the Vikings, trying to get some momentum on this opening drive.
Yeah, I love seeing those legs keep churning like that. He moved the pile another 3 yards after the initial hit on him. So good job. And remember last week, Cochran they were running on the left side of the defense. So it looks like so far they're targeting that left well, it actually would be the right side of the Glen defense.
Trying to run behind Ben Meyer and Ryan Wood. Here is third down, and luckily there is a pre-snap penalty because that pitch to Carter Harsh was off the mark. It looks like it's going to be encroachment on the Bobcats, but we'll go ahead and wait for the official word.
Yeah, Friedenberg, number 26, looked like he jumped on the left side.
Normally when it's an encroachment, the play just runs out, and it is going to be encroachment on the Bobcats, and that's 5-yard penalty is going to move the chains. And one thing we did see from this Vikings offense, though, and again, the conditions are similar here at Veterans Memorial Stadium in consecutive weeks, as we have 1st and 10 at the 48-yard line and more pre-snap movement. And it looks like number 69 jumped off sides, the nose tackle, Parker Gano. Back-to-back encroachment penalties on this Bobcats defense.
Good job by Julian Lamont, must be his cadence or something, and for the Vikings to stand pat, on that line.
You want to, if you're seeing a defense playing aggressively, stay put and use this cadence to your advantage. And here, speaking of advantage, Noah Cochran rumbling for 5 yards, just short of the sticks. It's going to be 2nd and short, but we see a heavy dose of Cochran early in this game like we did last week against Lake Fenton.
Very close to a measurement, Derek, but maybe they're going to give, what do you think? Must be a half a yard here. Yeah, because the sticks are just
2nd and very short. Here's Lamont. He gives to Cochran. Cochran's got the first down. Right up the middle goes Cochran. And again, that left side of the offensive line creating plenty of running room for the fullback.
Yep, we've got Ryan Wood, big number 76, helping for that gap is Benjelink. Let me see, 52. Bryce Benjelink. So Wood and Benjelink are really opening up a gaping hole.
And Lamond using that snap count. Going to reset. Here's 1st and 10 for the Vikings. Lamond. He's got the keeper this time, and he garners about 7 yards on the keeper. A little veer read there, right up the middle. You give him a heavy dose of Cochran, and then you see Lamond, what he can do with the ball in his hands.
Yeah, and Lamond has good speed, and he's very shifty. We saw that last year. He made a lot of people miss.
Julian Lamond, the senior, pushed into quarterback duties with Tip Baker dealing with a shoulder injury. Here's 2nd and 4. Handoff goes to Cochran. Cochran's got the first down and still slipping tackles. Cochran running hard on this opening drive for the Vikings, just shy of the 20-yard line. That'll move the sticks again for Cadillac.
Good hard running, this time off the right side. So they're mixing it up a little bit. Defense was probably stacked on the right side.
You see Coach Mallory mixing it up on this opening drive, keeping the Bobcats defense on their toes. 1st and 10 at the 21-yard line. And again, you see hard cadence. Almost another encroachment penalty there on the Bobcats. Lamont, pitch goes to Colin Johnston, left side, and that's great penetration there from the Bobcats, number 67. The first one there, Cameron Eager to put a stop to that play. He does a great job, only a gain of 1.
That's great pursuit from the backside. He got a hold of the jersey, and then he allowed his teammates to finish off the tackle. Good job by Eager.
They finally put a little bit of a speed bump in this rushing attack for the Vikings. And they're at the 20-yard line in the red zone with 5:20 remaining in the opening quarter. Lamond gives to Cochran. Cochran slips a tackle, still on his feet inside the 10-yard line. Finally chopped down at the 5. Noah Cochran having a great opening drive. They're going to have 1st and goal, does Cadillac.
So far, no answer whatsoever to Noah Cochran, and he's running left, running right, and running tough.
Running through numerous arm tackles from that John Glenn defense. And the Glenn Bobcats got to try to stifle here this Cadillac rushing attack. Here's 1st and goal. Pitch goes to Carter Harsh. Harsh slips just a bit trying to cut it upfield. He may have found pay dirt. Unfortunately, he's chopped down at the 2-yard line, and that'll bring up 2nd and goal.
Yeah, just a little bit of footing issues there, but he's got a ton of speed and was eyeing that end zone.
You could tell he almost wanted it. His eyes saw the end zone before his feet could get there. Here's 2nd and goal from the 2-yard line. Lamond under center. Again, trying to get that defense to show what they're in. Reset 2nd and goal for the Vikings. Lamond, quarterback keeper. He dives ahead. We're going to wait for the call. There's a mosh pit of bodies right at the goal line. Touchdown, Cadillac! 2-yard touchdown run from Julian Lamond, and the Vikings strike first.
You know, there was 3 down linemen, a huge gap, and I think he just tapped the center and said, just bring me home. So that was I'm looking at saying he's got right up the middle. Like I said, the linemen were really spread on that.
As that works, Julian Lamond gets the Vikings on the board, and on to attempt the extra point is Libby Lloyd. The snap, that one's down, kick is up, and that one is good as the Cadillac Vikings on their opening drive go 70 yards for the touchdown, 2-yard touchdown run there from Julian Lamond. And we got to take some time here to go ahead and thank not only the crew, but some of our sponsors for this game.
All right, our sponsors tonight are our presenters who are underwriting this as Munson Healthcare Cadillac Hospital. We have Wolverine Power Cooperative and Great Lakes Energy. We also have LC Materials, Lake City and McBain Family Pharmacies, Builder's First Source, Tasty Treat of Lake City, Pizza Plus, our homegrown pizza place for 50 years, Bowman and Rogers in Lake City, your accounting team, Pancho Villa Mexican Grill in Lake City, featuring their Monday specials, 5 beef or chicken enchiladas for $5. Can't beat that. Best Demolition, your local demolition team, Douglas of Cadillac, Fox Motors of Cadillac, Ford and Toyota dealerships. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, thank you. And Best Demolition, they'll wreck anything. The one wrecking ball on that opening drive for the Vikings was Noah Cochran running downhill, and here is Colin Hess to kick off for the Vikings. That one going deep and taken by one of the upbacks right at the 17-yard line, and a hard collision right at the 29. Colin Johnston, he scored a defensive touchdown last week on a pick 6 and making his presence felt there on special teams.
That'll make you keep your head up next time. That was a great stick that he had on him. And so they'll start on the just shy of the 30-yard line for Glenn, and that was a great drive by the Vikings. I mean, they took some time off the clock and they methodically brought it downfield. They were aided by 2 for offside calls from the Bobcats.
2 encroachment penalties, one that actually converted a 3rd down and 4. And the Vikings capitalized. They lead 7-0, 4:10 remaining. But here's the Bobcats offense. 3rd possession of the game. Long working out of the shotgun. Long fires deep down the middle.
Friedenberg.
Just out of the reach of Bryce Friedenberg. You are correct. And he had a man, had a step, but just unable to connect.
Great protection in the pocket he had all day, led by number 58. That's Nathan Rabideau, the 6', 210 senior, was providing some good protection for Joe Blong.
Well, one thing that we've seen pretty consistently here on the defensive side for the Vikings, they seem to be playing a lot of man-to-man coverage, so those shots may be there later in this game. 2nd and 10 from the 29-yard line. Long, back to pass. Now it looks like a set-up, choreographed quarterback draw. Great pursuit, and the ball is on the ground. That one looks like it's going to be along the sideline and recovered inbounds by the Cadillac Vikings.
Yeah, he had controlled, not a hard hit, just lost it going down.
Dan Gray falls on the ball for the Cadillac Vikings. There is a flag back at the 19-yard line. That is normally in the area of holding, but we will go ahead and get the official word here to see if this turnover will stand. Great pursuit there from the Vikings defense.
Yeah, it looked almost like a designed running play by the quarterback, and the Vikings, they pursued well. They had him tied up. He wasn't going anywhere.
We finally saw Coach Werner go to the quarterback draw. Long, trying to get up that left sideline. Great pursuit, didn't catch who. And here is personal foul. That one on the Vikings.
Maybe the hit on the quarterback?
And that is going to retain possession for the Vikings. We do not have what the number is yet, but that is an enormous penalty against the Cadillac Vikings.
But actually, I'm trying to think of the play, and the quarterback was untouched until he dropped the ball coming down, and the flag was back into the vicinity of the original snap, and there was no contact there. So I'm really not sure what happened on that one.
Not sure, but we see that the Bobcats offense is still on the field.
Yeah, huge turnaround there.
Momentum, which could have been big time in the favor of the Vikings. Bobcats catch a break, and now they've got 1st and 10 at the 44-yard line. Long gives to Caleb Christie right in the middle of that Vikings defense.
Warner was there.
Ryan Warner having a great game so far along that defensive line.
And you're also getting in there, and Blake Swiger. So, this defensive line, and they're able to play some different personnel. They're not everybody is playing defense and offense. It gives them a little bit of a rest. Swiger out.
We did mention in last week's game against the Blue Devils of Lake Fenton that this sophomore group of linebackers is flying around, but they've also got some talent up front. Here is 2nd and 7 for the Bobcats. Long, back to pass. And he's got his man over the middle. That's number 87 on the reception, Maxon Smith. And he falls and fights for extra yardage after the catch, and that'll move the sticks to the 45-yard line.
Yeah, good concentration, wet ball. I mean, he just locked it in and fought off to the defender. Good play by the Bobcats.
That was probably the most accurate throw thus far here from Job Long, the senior quarterback for the Bobcats. They now have a 1st and 10 in Vikings territory. This is not the first time they've been in Vikings territory. They came away with no points on the previous possession. And here's Caleb Christie on 1st and 10. He slips a tackle and finally wrapped up by number 13. That's Luke Enyart on the stop for the Vikings, but a solid gain on 1st down.
Yeah, looking at the size of that sophomore, he's 6'1" and 180, but he really picks his way through that line to start with, and then he's got some good speed once he gets through the line.
Caleb Christie did find pay dirt against Saginaw, the 21-0 victory that was short-lived as far as the duration of the game. But the good news for the Bobcats, they are off and running in the Saginaw Valley League. They are 1-0. This is, again, a non-conference game here as we have 2nd and 5 at the 40-yard line. Long working out of the shotgun. Play action. Long wants it all. He's going deep. He's got a man and just in and out of the hands
Gray
of
broke that
Rory
up.
O'Hare, but great defensive play there from Dan Gray.
That was 6 points right there, and Gray at the last second with a great read, and he just tipped it out of his hands.
Recovery speed there from Dan Gray.
But look at the accuracy from Joe Long on that. I mean, he put it where he had to. I mean, that was a great throw.
That play action held the linebackers. He had plenty of time, good protection, and he let it rip down the left sideline. And that one fell right in the bucket, but great effort there from Dan Gray on the recovery speed. That's going to make it 3rd and 5 from the 40-yard line. Long on the option, gives to Christie, and Christie is stood up. Tip Baker says, no, sir, no gain on the play, and that's going to bring up 4th and 5.
Yeah, it's funny when you see forward momentum and then backwards momentum. He really stuck him good.
And Baker, keep in mind, this young man is playing with an injured shoulder, and you would not know it on the defensive side of the football. And we saw on the other previous drive for the Bobcats that went into Vikings territory, they had to go for it on 4th down, and they are going to do so yet again. We have another 4th down attempt here from John Glenn. 4th and 5. Long, rolling right. Looking for his man in and out of the hands. That's unable to bring it in is Malachi Garrett. In and out of the hands. That would have moved the chains, but instead it's a turnover on downs.
Yep, the 6', 195 senior had it. It was a little bit behind him, but those are the ones you want to try and pick. If, as a receiver, you're going to kick yourself for it. So now the Vikings will take over near midfield on the 40-yard line, and want to get our TV crew in here tonight in this driving mist. It looks like it stopped a little bit now, getting nicer out, but down on the field we have Caden Darrow with our field camera. Our 2 up camera people are Damian Brooks and Abby Danforth. Replay is Miley Hilkowski. Our director is Hannah Crouch, and welcome, Hannah. Good to have you. Go ahead, Derek.
As we have 1st and 10 here for the Vikings. Give goes to Noah Cochran, and there's a shoestring tackle by number 18, Ethan Swinsicki.
We also have Dylan McCall, intern tonight, and Dylan is making his rounds, kind of learning, floating here and there, and he was protecting our camera for us this morning, this afternoon.
Dylan was the designated left tackle of the camera bag earlier. He did a great job on it. We got 2nd and 8 coming your way here for the Vikings offense. That give to Noah Cochran, and this Vikings offense is just giving it to John Glenn on the ground. Great job by Noah Cochran. That's a gain of 7. That's going to bring up a 3rd and short.
Another great job by the offensive line, just blowing them off, at least getting that first 2 or 3 yards, hardly even being touched.
And this may be the final play of the first quarter, 25 seconds remaining. 3rd and 1 at the 49-yard line. And there we see that quarterback sneak yet again from Julian Lamont. That'll move the sticks. And they do have the option if they want to run another play, but this may bring to a close the first quarter here at Veterans Memorial Stadium.
Oh, wow, they're setting up for... We'll see if they actually run it. They're looking over to the sideline. I wouldn't...
Yeah, Coach Mallory is going to be happy to go into the second quarter of this week's Game of the Week here on 26 Sports and CCTV with a 7-0 lead over the John Glenn Bobcats, as we'll be right back here with some second quarter action.